Good morning, children. I hope you all are fine. So, children, in the previous video, we studied about the non-violent ways of the Britishers, that how, without indulging into wars, the Britishers, they started annexing the kingdoms of India. They started annexing the territories of India. But now, children, slowly and gradually, what happened that the Britishers, they saw that their political and economic interests are at threat, because by this method, by these non-violent ways, the other kingdoms, they are flourishing more and more. And one such kingdom was Mysore. Mysore, children, it growed a great strength under the leadership of powerful rulers like Hyder Ali and his famous son Tipu Sultan. Mysore controlled a very profitable trade from the Malabar coast, where the company purchased pepper and cardamom. They also had a great profitable trade from there. Then, children, in 1785, what did Tipu Sultan did? He stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper and cardamom through the ports of his kingdom. मैसूर के पास जितने भी सी पोर्ट्स थे उन सब से उसने क्या करा, एक्सपोर्ट्स बंद कर दिए. एंड ही ऑल्सो डिसअलाउड लोकल मर्चेंट्स फ्रॉम ट्रेडिंग विद दी कंपनी. और जो भी वहाँ के लोकल मर्चेंट्स थे, जो भी रेजिडेंट्स थे, सबको मना कर दिया. नोबडी इज गोइंग टू डू ट्रेड विद दी company. Then what did he next did? He established a close relationship, a very good friendly relationship with the French, and modernized his army with their help. Now, seeing all these things, since you all know in the beginning we studied कि French जो थे वो Britishers के competitors थे, enemies थे, और उन्होंने उन्हें war में हटाकर they ruled over India. So now when the rulers of India were joining hands with their enemies, so Britishers were very furious to this. So now what the Britishers did, they resorted back. They again went back to the military confrontations. Ab now they started indulging into wars and revolts again. So they saw, the Britishers, they saw that Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan are very ambitious, arrogant and dangerous, and rulers who had to be controlled and crushed. That there is a very it is very important that we need to control these rulers. Otherwise, what would happen? They are going to be a competition. They are going to be a threat for ourselves. So 4 wars were fought with Mysore. The Britishers, they had 4 wars with the Mysore, children. One war starting from 1767, and all the 4 wars, one by one, it took. At the first war, at the first Anglo-Mysore war, children, Hyder Ali, he was forced he forced the East India Company to sign a treaty of Madras, by which the Britishers and Hyder Ali, they agreed to help each other in the case of third party attack. कि अगर कोई third party आकर attack करती है तो we both are going to help each other. Then again, children, there was a second war between Britishers and Mysore, and it ended with the Treaty of Mangalore, with British and Mysore agreeing to respect each other territories. Ki now we are going to respect each other's rule, each other's territory, and we are not going to interfere in each other things. Then they had third Anglo-Mysore war, in which Tipu Sultan, at that time he was the ruler, and he was defeated, and under the Treaty of Srirangapatnam had to give away a large part of his kingdom. थर्ड मैसूर वॉर में टीपू सुल्तान को अपने किंगडम का बहुत बड़ा एरिया किसको देना पड़ा था? ब्रिटिशर्स को. एंड ही ऑल्सो हैज टू पे अ ह्यूज फाइन and send 2 of his son as hostages to Britishers. Hostages कौन होते हैं? The person, those who are going to live in the British company houses, and they are going to work for the Britishers. Then there was a 4th war between the Mysore and Britishers. उस टाइम पे Lord Wellesley and the British Governor General asked Tipu Sultan to accept a subsidiary alliance, but Tipu Sultan, he denied it. And after various revolts between them, at the end he accepted the subsidiary alliance. And as you all are aware of the subsidiary alliance system, so ultimately Mysore went into the hands of Britishers. Now, after gaining control over the Mysore, children, the next motive of the Britishers was to curb Marathas. From the 18th century, they were trying to curb Marathas and gain rule over there. And since the Marathas, they were recovering from the third battle of Panipat, and the three Maratha chiefs, the three main chiefs of the Maratha kingdom, the Peshwa, the Gaikwads, the Holkars, the Bonsalles and Scindias, they had internal differences between each other. जो 5 major chiefs थे मराठास के, they did not had unity. और इस disunity का फायदा किसने उठाया? Britishers ने. The Britishers, they took the advantage of these differences to interfere in their internal affairs, which ultimately led to 3 consecutive wars between the Marathas and Britishers. Just as Mysore में 4 wars हुए थे. In the Marathas there were 3 wars between the Britishers and the Marathas, and ultimately children, at the end of the third Anglo-Maratha War in 1819, the Maratha power ended, and the company, they controlled the entire area south of the Vindhyas. Pune was no longer the seat power of Peshwa. Pune used to be the central areas, used to be the central capital of the Marathas, but now it was no longer a seat of power. And in fact, the title Peshwa, the traditional head of Marathas, was also abolished. Marathas के अंदर जो भी उनका head होता था उसे क्या बोला जाता था? पेशवा. You all might have seen about Marathas in movies and TV also, so you all would be aware of it. तो जो Marathas का traditional head होता था उसे पेशवा बोला जाता था. तो जब थर्ड एंग्लो मराठा वॉर के बाद ब्रिटिशर्स ने मराठा किंगडम को ख़त्म कर दिया, तो ये जो पेशवा का टाइटल था ये भी क्या हो गया? Abolish. Peshwa Bajirao's territory were annexed by the British Empire, and the other Maratha chiefs has to sign the subsidiary alliance treaty. Now, from the above discussions, children, you would have got an idea that the early 19th century, the company was indulged in very aggressive policies for annexing various territories. So the next policy which was adopted by the Britishers was the Paramountain Sea. Lord Hastings, Governor General from 1813 to 1823, introduced this new policy which was Paramountain Sea. Now what is Paramountain Sea? Now what do you know what is the meaning of paramount? Paramount means supreme. So now Britishers, they started saying that we are the supreme power in India than the Indian states. The company claimed that its authority, its rule is paramount or supreme, hence its power was greater than the Indian states, and in order to protect its interest, it was justified in annex any Indian kingdom. This view continued to guide later British policies as well. Now there is one example for the same children. Like here they have talked about a small state named Kittur, which is Karnataka today. So the queen of that place, children, the Britishers, they tried to annex that small state, but जो उस time की वहाँ की queen थी, she took arms and started an anti-British resistant movement against the Britishers, and she was arrested in 1824 and she died in jail only in 1829. But there was a poor chokidar of that area only, जिसका नाम था Ranayana. He carried on the struggle, he carried on the movement of the queen, and ultimately he did a lot. उसने बहुत कोशिश की थी ब्रिटिशर्स के रूल को रोकने के लिए, but later on 1830 में he also died. Then children, in the late 1830s, as we move forward, so the East India Company, they got a great topic to worry about, that was about Russia, because Russia was expanding and now it was near to Asia. So Britishers worried that now again they are going to be faced by a competition. So what did they did to protect themselves from that competition? Now they wanted to secure their control over the northwest, and they fought a long wars with Afghanistan from 1838 to 1842, and finally established a company rule over there. Later on in 1843 they took over Sindh, and next in the line was Punjab. But the presence of Maharaja Ranjit Singh held back the company. He did not allow the company to take over the state of Punjab. But when he died in 1839, children, two long wars were fought between the Sikh people, Sikh kingdom and the company, and ultimately after 10 years in 1849, Punjab was annexed by the Britishers. Now, after the annexation of Punjab, a final wave, a final wind that came in the annexation processes was the last policy which was introduced by Lord Dalhousie who was the Governor General of India from 1848 to 1856. He introduced a policy which came to be known as Doctrine of Lapse. The doctrine declared that if an Indian ruler died without a male heir, his kingdom would lapse, that is, become the part of the company's territory. What did I say? According to this doctrine, children, the rulers of Indian states, territories would, if they died, अगर इंडियन स्टेट्स के जो रूलर्स हैं they die without a natural heir to the throne, that means without a son. If the ruler, the one who is ruling the state, उनका अगर कोई son नहीं होता, son means your natural son, your legitimate heir, then your kingdom, जो आपका kingdom है, it would directly go under the British rule. And under this, children, adoption was not an option. You cannot adopt a child. That means your adopted child cannot be considered as an heir. Agar if you want to adopt a child to be your heir to take over your throne, you have to take the permission from the Britishers. और Britishers के पास इतना right था कि वो उस permission को deny भी कर सकते हैं और उस condition को एक्सेप्ट भी कर सकते हैं. सो द टेरिटरीज ऑफ रूलर्स हु वर विदाउट अ मेल हायर वर एनेक्स्ड इफ द एडॉप्शन वॉज नॉट सेंशन्ड, एंड दिस टुक अवे लॉन्ग एस्टैब्लिश्ड राइट ऑफ द इंडियन रूलर्स विदाउट अ हायर to choose or adopt a successor. It did not allow the Indian rulers to choose or to adopt any child for their territory. And due to this, the company, it annexed various states. It annexed the princely states of Satara in 1848, Jaipur and Sambhal in 1849, Nagpur and Jhansi in 1854, and Awadh in 1856 under this doctrine, because the rulers of these states might not be having a natural heir to the throne, and since it was the policy कि जिस भी रूलर का खुद का बेटा नहीं होगा, वो किंगडम रूलर की डेथ के बाद डायरेक्टली किसके पास चला जाएगा? ब्रिटिशर्स के पास. So children, Lord Dalhousie also abolished the titles and the pensions of the heirs of the childless Indian rulers and annexed their territories. Tanjore and Karnataka was also annexed in this manner only, and when Peshwa Bajirao died, children, his pension was denied to his adopted son Nana Sahib, and the imperial title of the Mughal Empire was abolished. So children, these were the various policies which were adopted by the Britishers to annex the various territories of India and to establish their ultimate rule over the country.